Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to Stately Von Manor, where Roger and I have returned because it's Wednesday. That means it's Epic Comic Book Wednesday. Every Wednesday, we'll talk about a certain comic book, graphic novel, or comic book subject. Steve Donoghue over on his channel will talk about the same comic book, graphic novel, or comic book subject. It is our world's finest team up that we do once a week, and this week, Roger and I are going to descend into villainy because we're going to be talking about the greatest villain in the Marvel Universe, which would be Doctor Doom. It's Doctor Doom. You might have heard about Doctor Doom if you follow the movies because I didn't. Yeah, there's Doctor Doom's going to be showing up in the films, the Marvel Universe films. Only like Iron Man is Doctor Doom? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. But Doctor Doom really exists in the comic books, and he's been in the comic books for decades, ever since the early 1960s. And he is in a class by himself, Doctor Doom. So this is the gigantic Doctor Doom omnibus, Doctor Doom, the Book of Doom, one of the finest books ever printed. Over 1,300 pages of Doctor Doom villainy. I think that's about how big this is. There's a lot of comic books in this volume, full of Doctor Doom evil, starting when he first showed up in the Fantastic Four. And this has him fighting just about everybody. Even Kazar. Oh my goodness, Kazar. Anyway, yeah, Doctor Doom. So, yeah, this has the story we're going to be talking about today in it, which is the fantastic origin of Doctor Doom. But I'm not going to be talking about the fantastic origin of Doctor Doom holding this thing up because, you know, it's gigantic. Let's take a look at this book. This is the master plan of Doctor Doom. Fantastic Four Epic Collection Volume 2, The Master Plan of Doctor Doom. Even though Doctor Doom inexplicably is not on the cover, he's not even on the back cover. I don't know. But this has the master plan of Doctor Doom in it. Now, Doctor Doom was a great villain ever since his first appearance. I will turn to Doctor Doom's first appearance here. There he is, and look at that great cover. So Doctor Doom was awesome as soon as he showed up. His first panel, Doctor Doom is maneuvering the Fantastic Four as chess pieces because, you know, he has to, this is his hobby. He makes little statues out of his enemies, I guess. So, and, you know, hangs around with vultures. You know, he was a cool guy right from when he first showed up. Fantastic Jack Kirby cover there for Doctor Doom's first appearance in Fantastic Four number 5. Now, today we're going to be talking about the origin story of Doctor Doom, and we just got a little bit of it in this first appearance of Doctor Doom. Here, Reed Richards, he recognizes Doctor Doom's voice. Doctor Doom shows up in a helicopter, throws a big net over the Baxter Building to capture the Fantastic Four, and this is the first time the Fantastic Four has ever encountered Doctor Doom. And Reed Richards immediately recognizes his voice. He says, "That voice, I recognize it. But I thought he was dead. Years ago in my college days, there was a student named Victor Von Doom who was fascinated by sorcery and black magic. He was a brilliant science student, but he was only interested in forbidden experiments." And then we see Doctor Doom in an experiment ended up having a terrible accident, which caused him to have to wear bandages over his face because his face basically got burnt off. You know, gotta watch out for those forbidden experiments because those were the only types. Those were the only types that Doctor Doom was interested in. But that's as much as we found out about Doctor Doom for a little bit. So he was originally a Fantastic Four villain. He went on to terrorize the entire Marvel Universe. But his origin story was really something special. And I have it marked off here with a City of Boston parking ticket. Helpful hint, if you ever visit Steve Donoghue, don't park right out in front of his house. It's you'll get a parking ticket. But I also got this handy bookmark. So let's go to this Fantastic Four annual. This is Fantastic Four annual number 2. And look at that. That's awesome. This is the splash page for the fantastic origin of Doctor Doom. We have Doctor Doom brooding at home in his castle, in his Doctor Doom chair with the big D on it. So you know who this chair belongs to. He's brooding because it is the night. Doctor Doom says, "Who dares enter my chamber? Enter the chamber of Doctor Doom. It is I, Boris. The time has come, Master." So, right away, when you're looking at this page, you know this is going to be something special with this brooding Doctor Doom. Jack Kirby really must have thought a lot of this story because he put a lot into it. The quality of the art is really, really good. We have this brooding castle in Latveria. Latveria, that's where Doctor Doom hangs out, and he rules as a petty tyrant. And so Doctor Doom is led out of his castle by Boris to this spot. This is the place. It was here that it all began. And then the years seem to flash back as the tall, still figure returns in memory to the dim, faded past. And then we get a gypsy camp. That's gypsies were what they were. Roma people were known at the time. That's how they were known to most Americans. And so this is a gypsy camp, which looks very, it looks like a camp that you'd find in a Universal Horror Studios movie. And this is Doctor Doom's origin. His father was actually a really good, decent guy. He was a doctor who was only interested in helping the sick. But one day we get this soldier showing up. He says, the soldier shows up and he's dragging him off because the local castle, the Baron's wife is dying in the local castle. And so the Baron heard that this doctor who was really good at curing people was there. But it turns out the Baron's wife is incurable. And so when she dies, he blames Doctor Doom's dad, which is, pretty unfair, but, it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. And so Doctor Doom's father is hunted. Now, Doctor Doom's mom is dead. She's passed away. And it turns out that Doctor Doom's mom was a sorceress. So we have this really nice doctor. We have this really good noble doctor who fell in love with an evil sorceress, which, must have been an interesting relationship. And so Doctor Doom's dad and Doctor Doom, as a young child, are on the run from the Baron's soldiers. And his father dies of exposure when his fellow gypsies finally catch up to him. And Doctor Doom vows revenge. Now, Doctor Doom, he takes after more like his mom. And once Doctor Doom's dad passes away, Doctor Doom finds a bunch of his mom's sorceress stuff. What have I found? Hidden here beneath these heirlooms, a strange chest. That name, can it belong to my mother? Magic potions, strange scientific secrets. Why did I never suspect? My mother was a witch, and now I can learn her secrets. So, Doctor Doom starting off early on the wrong path. So Doctor Doom devotes himself to learning magic, and he travels across the land, basically causing people trouble. Being basically a bad guy. But He does end up going to college, because he's a smart guy. So he goes to college where he runs into Reed Richards, who becomes his lifelong rival. Reed Richards, also very brilliant, only, super good guy. He naturally becomes Doctor Doom's rival. And Reed Richards, when he first meets Doctor Doom, he tries to be Doctor Doom's friend, but Doctor Doom just won't have any. He doesn't want any friends, and he just says, get the hell away, Reed Richards. I don't need you. I'm Doctor Doom. Only at this point, he's only Victor Von Doom. He doesn't become Doctor Doom until he starts making strange stuff like this. This is a heck of a machine to put together, as a college student, but he manages. And here is where Doctor Doom does his forbidden experiment and basically blows his face off. Basically, yeah, he blows his face off. And he can't bear to look at himself in the mirror because he just looks so horrible. No, I'm ugly, ugly. What have I done to myself? What have I done? My face is too horrible. No other eyes must ever gaze upon it. I'll hide from the sight of mankind somewhere, somehow. Where, of course, he goes to Nepal. Runs into these folks who are perfectly happy to take in a tyrannical villain. And that's where he gets his armor. And this is where he becomes the Doctor Doom that we know and love. The Tyrant of Latveria. And right away he starts building dangerous stuff, Right away he becomes a villain. And he makes this mask. He has this mask forged, and he doesn't even wait for it to cool off before he puts it on. He doesn't care if he burns his face. It's already gone. What a mess Doctor Doom was. And then here we that's Super Skrull. That's somebody else entirely. But here Doctor Doom goes home to Latveria. Yeah, and he becomes the absolute monarch of the kingdom of Latveria. And this is just a great little origin story. Stan Lee was really good at coming up with origin stories, and this is an excellent one. I don't know how much Jack Kirby had to do with the origin and how much Stan Lee did. Stan Lee, I suspect, came up with most of the basic story and said, hey, Jack, this is the story. And Jack Kirby kind of filled it out and drew all the pictures, and then Stan Lee filled in the dialogue. That's how they usually did it. But as far as who came up with what in the ideas department of Doctor Doom's origin, I really don't know. But it's an excellent one. And we even kind of sympathize with Doctor Doom because, of the traumatic events in his childhood. He was just a little villain when his father, who was a decent guy, was forced to run and die because of this evil Baron. And so what would have happened with Doctor Doom is if his father would have survived, There might actually be a what if issue that answers that question. I don't know. But just reading the story, it makes you wonder, Doctor Doom, he could have been a completely different person, if his father had not passed away. But he does take after his mom, the sorceress. So, yeah, he probably would have become a villain after all. And I love the bit about Doctor Doom's college life. Just the little bit we get, and we also get Ben Grimm there, the Thing, as Ben Grimm. So we get an early look into Reed Richards and Doctor Doom's college life. All of this, I believe, was published in 1964. I think that's when the annual came out, in 64. And it's just a great story. Yeah. Fantastic Four Annual, number 2, 1964. So there you go. That's the fantastic origin of Doctor Doom. And from that origin, we get like this super evil villain. And when I was a kid, yeah, Doctor Doom was my favorite. He was my favorite villain of all time. And he was, you know, the Darth Vader of the Marvel Universe, Doctor Doom. And I guess he still kind of is. I don't know if he's ever been out-villained. There Doctor Doom is in Secret Wars when he got his face back. It didn't help any. He was still a dick, you know? Still kind of a jerk, you know, but yeah. And this omnibus is just, it's just magnificent. It's full of awesomeness, this one. And yeah, Doctor Doom, he was great. He's never been done correctly in the films, you know. He's showed up, I think, well, he showed up in all of the Fantastic Four movies. So far, there have been 4 of them, Fantastic Four movies, if we include the Roger Corman movie that was never originally released, but you can watch it on YouTube now. That actually probably had the most accurate depiction of Doctor Doom in film. But he is coming out in the new films, the new Marvel Universe films. He's going to be showing up again, and probably will not be done correctly this time either. We'll see, but I don't have high hopes. But he is a magnificent villain, and that was his fantastic origin. I will catch you next time.